Good afternoon. Welcome to an episode. I was going to say another episode of Walking Digital Corridors, but it's been so long since I've done one of these, and it's so good to have you back, Jensen.
Oh God, don't. It feels like years, right?
It's it's been
It
almost a year. It's got to be.
yeah, yeah, but it
Yeah,
definitely feels like years since we've done this. But no, look, pleasure to be back. Really missed these sorts of doing these sorts of things.
yeah,
As I think everyone knows, I also love talking, so which really helps. But no, look, pleasure to be here. Thank you for having
yeah,
me.
yeah. No, of course, of course. I did a series at the beginning of the year in Q1, and so for those listening on audio only, we're in what we 7th of November 2025. So I did a series of these with experts in the digital space, which I think is quite apt given the title is Walking Digital Corridors. And
Exactly.
we got to the end of that quarter and it just went quiet, and I didn't keep the momentum going. So I think we should make a pact. I think we should, at least, if nothing more, have us Abbott boys talking about how to walk digital corridors confidently, regularly.
Indeed, and I think we all know that consistency is king, right? And that's something that I'm sure we'll get onto as well later on in this episode. Is just being consistent and sticking to it.
Indeed. So before we get into kind of what's new with you, um, tell me how's football? Because I know football is a passion of yours, and you had training. Well, I think the day of the prep call that we did for this earlier this week. How did it go?
Yeah, no, really well. Yeah, look, football's a big passion of mine. I've played it now for many years,
Yeah.
which is it's always funny because I always remember the story, right, of you telling me the first football match I had. I'm pretty sure I might have cried or run off the pitch. Um,
You did.
so
You did. Are you good? Are
yeah,
you going to replay that story, or do you want me to?
no, look, please replay it, please.
Yeah. Well, briefly, just briefly. By this time, your older brother, who's what 4 years older than you, I'd already spent, you know, several years on the touchline, watching him, cheering him on from the sidelines, and so I had big ambitions for you. And you used to do the training and you enjoyed it, and I think you were about 4 years old. You definitely I don't think you were younger than four, and you wouldn't have been older than five, but you had your first football match, and I was there cheering you on, and I think the pressure just got too much, and you just ran off the pitch. didn't want to didn't want to play.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I don't know if you can remember it, but we were at a fun day, uh, was it the Three Bridges, which was the football team you played for? Three
yeah.
Bridges Fun Day. So there was like loads of different matches going on, and yeah, you just didn't want to play, despite me trying really hard to motivate you again to stay on the pitch.
Yeah, no, look, I don't remember it at all. I think the earliest memory I have, sorry, of something like that is where I was very young and I actually needed to be subbed off because I needed a toilet that badly.
Yeah.
And I think we were opposite Crawley Town's football stadium at that Astro
Okay. Yeah.
that they have there, and I really needed to go, and I was young, so they had to sub me off. But that's like the earliest memory I have. But no, look, kind of
Yeah.
went a little bit wayward there. But no, look, football's great. I've been playing it for many years. Still playing now. But I mean, look, as you get older, it takes you a couple of days to recover.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
So
especially yeah.
yeah.
Go on.
So just kind of bringing it back to the topic, because you know, you've had some news, let's say, and for those that have seen us before, they'll know that you and I used to work together. You and uh, Jordan helped me kind of set Supero up, and that was what 5 years ago now. And after a year or two, you then both spread your wings and entered the world of B2B sales, and you've been working in that world since in different companies. But I think the reason we're now doing this episode is because you're free from the corporate world temporarily, and
Yeah,
you
I
have
mean,
the
look,
time to do it.
currently as we speak, I am indeed. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm free from the corporate world. I received some news a couple weeks back, which, hey, look, wasn't the best. As you can imagine, I think anyone that works in sales, when they get news of essentially your position is up for redundancy, because they would like to actually close, let's say, the BDR branch or something like that. It's not the nicest of news, as I said, especially when you work in sales. And for me, kind of, I really would like to progress in my career, and to have that news, it kind of hit hard,
yeah,
hit very hard, and it kind of puts all sorts of things in your mind, right?
yeah,
You start doubting yourself. What one thing I must say was, um, um, I had to not kind of think it was all my fault,
yeah,
because that's one sticky situation, right? You start to kind of look inward and you think, oh, it's all me. What could I have done to change it? What could I have done to fix it?
yeah,
And actually, it's kind of putting that to bed, right? Those thoughts to
mm,
bed when you hear the news, and almost looking at it that, hey, look, all new things have new silver linings, or kind of looking at the glass half full, right?
yeah.
As we say.
So
Um,
25 years old,
yeah,
with a family,
yeah,
getting that news. In some respects, it reminds me of a situation that happened to myself back in 2005.
yeah,
I was working for I was working in the email marketing space, and I'd managed to secure a job. A friend of mine referred me into someone. I'd been doing that job a year and didn't make a single sale and lost my job for poor performance. And I didn't know it was coming. I thought I had longer, but
yeah,
still it's a shock, getting the train home, thinking about how you tell that news to your wife. With two young kids at the time. Jude wasn't born.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but that was my own doing, right?
yeah.
So, it's I think it's hard enough, when you know it's your own doing, and you've then got to find another job to pay the bills. But for you, it was a complete curveball, right? And it wasn't your own doing. You were, I believe, the top performer in the team.
Yeah, top performer in the team. But I mean, this is the corporate world and this is business, right? And
Mm,
that's one thing you've always taught me, is not to take things personal. And I would say I've learned a lot through you, right? Being in the corporate world, and you do have to almost build a bit of a thick skin. And like you said, just not take anything personal, because at the end of the day, a business isn't looking at things in a people way. They're looking at it in a way, and how does the business survive? And
yeah,
unfortunately, that does mean looking at people as numbers, which isn't the nicest way to look at things.
yeah. But take us back to what happened 2 weeks ago. Don't mention any names.
Yeah.
We don't need to know names of companies or people or anything. But I am just curious for you to share, with our listeners who may or may not have experienced similar things. But how did you find out, and what ran through your mind?
Yeah. So I mean, look, I'm kind of finding out. In all honesty, like I said, it hit me really hard. Didn't really know how to process the emotions.
Yeah.
Was a bit emotional, because I thought I'd never be in this position, especially being the age of 25. And like you said, look, I'm in a very different position, because I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I have a mortgage to pay, and I've got bills to pay. So for me, it's not as if it's like, oh, I can have some time off and I can put things to bed, right, and have a
Mm,
little bit of a break. For me, I've got to kind of, and I'd say through my experiences that I've already lived, I've kind of had to build a bit of a warrior mindset. So for me, it was, hey, look, although it's awful, um, I've still got people that essentially rely on me.
yeah.
So I can't take my foot off the gas. And
Mm,
actually, I'll thank myself in the future, for when I do kind of push through these hard times and
mm,
keep my foot on the gas. Um, that, yeah, like I'll thank myself, and I'll kind of be able to be in a better position than I was.
Yeah. But
And
did it shake your confidence?
oh, it did. It did massively.
Mm.
But I would say for a very short time,
Yeah.
because also I had a, I had a good group of people around me who was to support me. That included
Mm.
yourself, Jordan. There was with two other ex colleagues that were, I must say, hats off, were really really helpful.
Yeah. Because you
And they
initially
were able.
didn't want to accept the news initially, did you? And you wanted to fight to
No.
keep your job.
I think this is where kind of that warrior mindset comes in, and having those two people, two ex colleagues that were supporting me. One of them actually brought me into the company, so it
Mm.
wasn't just to fight for myself, but I think we were building a real team spirit, and we could feel
Mm.
it. Kind of, all of our hard work was starting to pay off. So to make the decision at this time was, yeah, it was hard. But
Yeah.
look, I didn't want to accept it. So I kind of stuck with this warrior mentality, and decided to just go harder at social selling. And when I say social selling, it's walking digital corridors, as we call it.
Mm.
Um, but essentially doing that, I mean, look, it led me to book 15 meetings within that week,
Mm.
new meetings, which it was kind of just a nice way to go, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Living on a high,
that's it.
being
Leaving on a high,
proud.
and
Yeah.
and not just that. I think it's leaving the two colleagues who were essentially my sales directors, leaving them with some nice stuff, right? Which I think is
Yeah.
is always nice, and not just that. We talk about the share price, and I hope you
Yeah.
don't mind me talking
Yeah. No.
about this, but we talk about having a share price over our head, and for me, it's how can I always increase that share price, and it doesn't mean trying to make yourself look good, but it's trying to provide value, right?
Yeah.
And I think leaving those two individuals with some pipeline is a nice thing to do,
Yeah.
especially for everything that they've helped me with.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, the share price in this instance is really a share price of how we interpret or how we believe people think about us, and our actions having a direct effect on our own share price. And so, we add value, we do well, our share price goes up. We're
Or
some more
another
successful.
saying,
Yeah,
right, is every action has a positive and negative reaction, which
exactly.
put into kind of that share
Yeah,
price. Every action will either have a positive effect or a negative effect. Um,
and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be something that's really bad. Let's say it's just it could be something in terms of the quality of your presentation or the quality of your communication or whatever it
exactly.
might be, the quality of the relationships that you hold within your company or within your network. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and I think that's why it kind of goes back to the saying, kind of when you love what you sorry when you enjoy what you do or love what you're doing, it kind of you automatically give over 100% effort anyway, right? So you almost over want to you want to overachieve, sorry, because you're so passionate about what you do, which
yeah,
also helps. And I think that's why if you look at kind of people who want to be successful very quickly or build a career very quickly,
yeah,
they use their ears more than their mouth. They like to listen, kind of build the knowledge from other people to essentially armor themselves
yeah,
with that knowledge. But essentially, that also leads on to networking, which to kind of bring networking into to my situation, which I
yeah,
think it rolls quite nicely is, and actually being able to walk digital corridors, right, is the network essentially helping me as well,
mm,
or saving me, let's say, kind of before my CV.
yeah.
So
Be- before we get to walking digital corridors and what that means to you and maybe to others, let's just touch on the key question, uh, and I guess the reason why we decided to do this podcast,
okay,
and that is, yeah, is the BDR role dead? We it's not just it's not just your situation. There are many redundancies happening across the industry. There are numerous conversations that I have in relation to, with revenue leaders in relation to, the BDR function, and is it becoming redundant? Should it report into sales? Should it report into marketing? And things are changed week by week, month by month. I mean, there's so much in question there. But let me ask you: is the BDR role dead in your eyes?
It's a great question, and look, in all honesty, I would say if you believe the BDR role is dead, I don't know what's wrong with you. In all honesty, kind of look, I've been a BDR. I think anyone that has been a BDR can understand the graft and understand what essentially goes into the role, and what that role, value wise, it delivers to a business.
Mm,
Because essentially these people are the first point of contact within the organization. These people are speaking to prospects, speaking to potential clients, finding out their pain points, sharing information about the company, why they should essentially buy this company, but actually change from technology they're already using. Which,
mm,
I mean, look, could say it's controversial, but I actually think that potentially is harder than the sale itself, because to
yeah.
get someone's attention and essentially tell someone something is so beautiful, right, only through words, not
Mm,
through being able to demo something yet, is actually a skill, and it requires requires multiple skills: listening,
yeah. So
storytelling.
for context, how long have you been a BDR?
Cool. Within the specific role, it's come up to 3 years. But I mean, look, I've been a BDR for what, 4 or 5 years, because BDR at
Yeah.
Supero. So I've been a BDR for some time.
So that's
Um,
in a services and a technology sectors. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
indeed, and I mean, look. Also, to highlight that, when you say is the BDR role dead, no, it's not. What
Mm,
we could say is the BDR role needs to be reinvented, and I think
yeah.
that goes back to our conversation on Tuesday. Um, is that, again, look, the BDRs are the ones that have the knowledge, and can actually communicate,
Mm.
to the prospects and clients. Um,
What sort of
and
talk a little bit about the performance that you see in your role acting as a BDR? How many meetings on average are you generating, just to give us an idea?
I mean, look, kind of do. So the traditional BDR, they looks at email and cold calling, right? And to give you some
Mm,
statistics, let's throw out some statistics. 5,000 cold calls in 2 months generates one meeting for myself,
right. Okay.
right?
And
Now,
that's where you had to do cold calling, even though you believed.
yeah, now look, I think calling's great, but not essentially cold calling. We
Right.
use the term warm calling, right? If we've had a conversation or a connection. Now, I also go back to a saying that there's a saying that, look, if you don't like me, text me. If you don't know me well enough, if you can't text me, you obviously don't know me well enough to have my number. And people in the UK, for us, if we get a random number call or a text, we don't seem to want to answer it. It doesn't matter to us, right? It's not as
Mm,
important. So for me, I look at kind of the calling aspect is a specific part or a segment of the overall engine. But look, success rate from cold calling blind, um, yeah, it's not great. I mean, the connect rate's not great within itself. You've then got to then battle the fact: is that person having a good day?
yeah.
Because let me tell you, it's not even if they're having a bad day. If they've spilt their cup of coffee 5 minutes before answering the phone, if they've knocked the kettle over, if
Yeah.
their animal has done a toilet on the floor and they're not in the mood, and you've called them at the complete wrong time, you're not going to get the time from them, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then that plus sending what, 14,000 emails in a specific time frame, um,
How
booking
many?
no new meetings
Okay.
from outbound.
Okay. So this is what I hear a lot. So 5,000 cold calls, one new meeting, 14,000 emails, no new meetings. And
Yeah.
this is in a 2-month time period.
Well, so the call is within a 2 month. The email is probably within, let's say, a 3 month.
Okay.
3 month period.
Okay. Now compare, and that was because it was mandated, right? It's like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do cold calling and we're going to do emailing. Now compare that to your approach to social selling, which I have to say is using the conversation operating system method
Yeah, yeah. Essentially, it
that I
is.
trained you on.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. Exactly. But there's actually so much to it.
Yeah.
Um, that essentially I'm so certain that if you was to just drop that in front of someone, they wouldn't really be able to get their head around it, or they
Yeah.
may be able to pick up in certain areas. But overall, it is quite of a beast of a system, right?
Yeah.
But actually, as you start to look under the hood and you see that essentially this system gives you multiple different levers that essentially you're in control of, and in how you pull those different levers essentially dictates your results. So
Yeah.
you know that there are certain levers that you can essentially pull a little bit more and it's going to help increase the results, right?
So what's one of those levers?
So one of those levers could be engagement, another could
Yeah.
be network growth, network engagement. I mean, look, there's multiple different areas.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I'm saying kind of having this overall engine where you use the calling and email in sync with it. But again, I think it's a big mental shift from the traditional to social selling, and that's why I want to kind of come back to the walking digital corridors. Is when you don't just hear but actually understand what walking digital corridors means, essentially you start to understand it's how you can have a conversation digitally, right?
Mm.
The same in how we can have a 15-minute conversation in person. To have that 15-minute call digitally is very hard
Yeah.
because we've got the internet and many different distractions, and we have a memory of a goldfish. So
Mm.
to be able to have that conversation online and have that kind of skill, um, just kind of really, it's very helpful in this overall engine. So if you're able to have walk those digital corridors as well as building that relationship with that individual, what you're then finding is you can then find a way to kind of essentially get your foot in the door to have a further conversation, and essentially you're just trying to be curious, you're just trying to learn from that individual,
Mm.
right?
So
And when you start to understand that compared to the traditional BDR and selling, and it's more how can I get the commission, numbers, 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 meetings, 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 you then start to understand when you have that different mentality shift, you start to almost attract more people towards you with that social
mm.
selling and walking in digital corridors. Whereas the traditional, it's almost you're putting people in that zone of resistance because no one
So,
wants to be spoken at or harassed.
yeah. So for the benefit of our listeners, what are those steps? What are those things that you do as part of your approach on social?
I mean, look, a big one is content posting, which I
Yeah.
mean, look, if you look through my LinkedIn, you may be able to see that recently I haven't been posting as much, right? And that was also down to the vast mass number of actions that I had to complete. But
Yeah.
there's a lot to it. It's content. It's engaging with other people's content. It's increasing your
Engaging,
network,
you mean commenting or liking?
liking, commenting, sharing,
Yeah.
but then also being curious. And now what I mean by that is you can be curious within the comment section, but also even messaging people and being curious, trying to
Yeah.
spark a conversation around a specific post. Someone's posted something and I don't fully understand it. Hey, I might reach out. Hey, great post, didn't fully understand it. Can you help me? And
Mm.
and what you find is you actually connect with people that have similar interests. And when people have similar interests, you tend to connect a little bit more deeper on it, also an emotional level, which
Yeah.
essentially then when someone finds out that you're able to help them and they have that trust, you're able to have a better conversation. Um, and also I would say it it gives me more confidence, essentially being able to be myself, right?
Mm.
And just have a natural conversation and see where that goes compared to almost trying to fit in a specific box that you can't be yourself and you can't
Mm.
be creative, right? And I think it also shows through some of the content I used to post. Like I used to do some raps. right?
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to do that recently because it's when people want to drive pipeline and growth, it tends to be, hey, how can we put more meat in the meat machine? We need numbers, numbers, numbers. And actually, I think it's
I think that's the
understanding. Go
yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That I think is wrong with the industry. The business or the organization thinks that the quickest way to generate pipeline is to create your target list, often changing regularly, and then
yeah,
create your
yeah,
messaging, and
yeah.
then send
Which
your
also
messaging.
can change often, even the messaging. And when you
And
have the
so,
multiple changing of the account list and multiple changing of messaging, makes it even harder, right?
yeah, and then send that messaging in the channels that we know don't work, uh, expecting to search and qualify the 5% of people in market
Yeah.
who don't actually give a toss, because unless they know you, like you, and trust you, they're not going to open your email. They're not going to answer your phone call. And
Hmm.
so the best way to raise visibility and build an affinity with an audience that doesn't yet know you is in the places that they are. And we know with 1.1 billion people on LinkedIn, it's likely they're on LinkedIn, not every day, quite often, occasionally.
Hmm.
But if we're deploying a strategy that identifies those people that we do want to do business with, and we take the time to engage with them credibly, and we've invested the time to develop our personal brand, so when they do see our profile, they go, "Ooh, this guy looks interesting, memorable, authentic, buyer centric," then they're more likely to accept the connection request. We're growing our network in the right places.
But also, everything you've just said, it doesn't just help with walking digital corridors. It helps in building trust and relationships overall in a business sense anyway. Because
Yeah.
if you will also do that social selling, and like one thing for me, I love events, and you are able to replicate that at events, and you met that person that you may have tried to pick up the phone to, haven't been able to get through to, or deployed social selling through LinkedIn and haven't been there, but you're there at the event and can still be yourself, right? Human, funny, knowledgeable, add value. You're still putting yourself in that situation to increase your chances, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
really, it goes back to what you said, and you said it so beautifully, was around building that personal brand.
Yeah.
Um,
And that
in
that we find, and and obviously you know this, opens up the opportunity for you to appeal to a much wider percentage of your network, rather than just trying to, hone in on the 5% of people that might be in market today. And
exactly,
and by building that affinity, when they are in market, they're then more likely to speak to you about the services that you offer, because it's clear the services that you do offer, and they're kind of more receptive to listening because you've been showing up as an authentic individual.
yeah,
And it's not just
exactly,
about your professional presence, it's about your human, authentic presence.
yeah,
The fact that, those that follow you on LinkedIn can see you had an amazing holiday in Africa last year,
yeah.
and you had a content series on that, and that you have a 5-year-old daughter, and you did trick or treating. Loved the outfit, by the way.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, look, put it this way, even based off that, there's been multiple occasions that look real life examples that I made a post, and actually a bit of business was signed because of essentially that engagement on a post that took to
mm,
a DM that led to putting in a networking call, which had a
yeah.
networking call. And what you tend to find is even when people have a networking call, they seem to talk about work because
Mm,
either it might be stressful, or they've had a really good working day, or they've done something really well and it's made them feel good. And we as people do like to talk about what stresses us out, what doesn't. And essentially that networking call then led to, oh, we both had a good day, we both done something good. He was curious about what I done, I was curious about what he done, gave an explanation, and it led to, oh, actually that's interesting, we need help in that area. So
yeah.
it's simple things like this, and it's people buy from people, and
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's not just that professional but that human side as well.
That's a good definition, really, of walking digital corridors effectively.
Yeah.
That example right there. So, look,
Yeah.
conscious of time, what do in your view? What are the best or modern? I want to say BDRs, but let's expand this to sales.
Yeah.
What are the best people in sales or anyone in a relationship development role? A role where they rely on building relationships with people that could already know them, but also that don't yet know them. What do they need to be doing differently to succeed in our ever changing world?
Do you know what? That is a great question.
You've mentioned consistency already. I can
Yeah.
imagine.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, it's the consistency and just turning up, right? But also, everything is trial and error, and it's finding things that work, things that don't. Um,
Mm,
but look, from my experience, being consistent in being able to build a personal brand, in being able to post content consistently where I can add value or you can start conversations with the engagement, it's been able to put me in the position today where I get made redundant, and it was my network that saved me before my CV,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, which is one thing.
And
But
for the record, you're close to receiving at least a couple of offers, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes, yeah. I mean, and that was also kind of that warrior mindset I had. It's I wanted to kind of be in control of my destiny and how it lays out. So I
yeah,
essentially went a little bit a little bit crazy with it all, right? And was applying and having conversations. But I mean, look, the biggest thing I even found was and look, take this as a tip if you have been made redundant or looking for a job is don't just do the bare minimum of doing your CV and applying, right?
mm,
It's again where we apply this walking digital corridors. It's building your network into that company that you are applying to. It's
yeah,
finding out information. So me reaching out to someone within a company I was reaching out to, and saying, "Hey, I'm guessing the cover letter will be addressed to yourself because of the research that I done showed I'm good at my research because essentially I got the right individual."
yeah,
And building a relationship with them before I even met them on the call. So then
yeah,
when I met them on the call, it feels like I know this person already, and
yeah,
it's then allows you to also be a little bit more relaxed,
yeah,
take stress and pressure off you. But all of these are essentially skills that aren't just going to benefit you in your career. It's also in your personal life, and just
yeah,
making things a lot easier for yourself.
yeah.
Um,
What was it that Jordan, your brother, had said to you about getting another job? Did he say something along the lines of treat it as if you were, trying to generate an opportunity in a new
Yeah,
account?
yeah. Well, exactly. That was it. It was, hey, treat this like you're trying to generate an opportunity into an account, right?
Yeah,
Or, yeah. So map out the account.
yeah,
Who are the people that I essentially want to speak to? And it's taking that same approach in the sales game. It's not who are the people I want to sell to. It's
yeah,
again change that mindset, because if you focus on the selling, you actually end up driving that further away because you're so
mm,
focused on the selling. Again, with the share price, you make little mistakes in other areas that affect your share price, and that goes down. When you don't focus on the selling and you focus on that relationship kind of approach, you're more kind of honed into these listening skills and the communicating skills,
mm,
which help you. It really
yeah.
does elevate you.
No, I think you're mentioning something there that comes easy to you. Focusing on that relationship development, that often doesn't come easy to a lot of people.
Yeah,
What you're
yeah,
essentially talking about is being yourself and engaging in conversation or messaging exchange
yeah,
about something human that you're connecting on. But
yeah,
you're not trying to sell anything to them. You're trying to build rapport, build a relationship with that person. So the selling then becomes a natural progression. Oh, tell
yeah,
me more about what you do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You do that very, very well. Not that doesn't come
I
naturally
mean,
from
look,
most people.
that has essentially though taken me 5 years to do when we lay it
Mm,
out. And when you look at it that way, that's a long time.
Mm,
but it's the journey and it's the learnings along the way of things didn't go well, didn't have great conversations. I've had people
mm,
say that, excuse my French, I'm shit at my job.
mm.
You can't please everyone, but if you can stick true to yourself and your morals and what you believe in that business world as well, I believe it will take you further.
Yeah.
Um, it really will,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, on that note, if anyone does want to connect with you, where can they find you?
Find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's probably the best thing, in all honesty. But look, if anyone wants to connect with me, find out a little bit more about my story, my journey, please do reach out. I mean, look, kind of mm, learning more about the skills that I've learned over the years, I can only credit that to yourself and Supero.
Mhm.
So if people do kind of even want to learn more, please check out the Supero LinkedIn page as well, because there's some
Mhm.
great content there. But also, kind of the final thing I want to add is, look, I was at that stage where I was literally cacking my pants and didn't want to. I remember that story I told you at that first networking event we went to together,
Yeah.
and I had to down a glass of wine or champagne before cutting up and having the conversation. Like I've
Mm.
been there, I've experienced it. It is scary. It's easy for me to say because I've kind of overcome that. But look, I understand the pressure and you can feel scared, but you've just got to remember every day is I call a character day. It's a learning day. No day is a bad day, and it's how you can learn from those experiences to essentially make sure you don't mess up in the future.
Yeah.
Um, and that, yeah,
That's it. Cool. Well, listen, enjoy your weekend.
Yeah.
Until next time, it'd be great to have you back on. Maybe get your brother, two
No,
brothers on
yeah,
if you can.
we're definitely going to have to make this a regular occurrence for sure.
Yeah.
We need to get Jordan back on. For sure. We need to
Yeah.
get that running.
All right.